Hello there. This is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I am Jonas Holdeman.
And I'm Rita Lund. And we want you to know that if you don't believe in gods, you need not be alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This show is for them and others curious about living a life free of supernatural beliefs.
The second half of our regularly scheduled time is being preempted today, so we have only a half an hour to tell you about Camp Quest of the Smoky Mountains. This is a call-in show, and we will attempt to answer questions, but we ask you today to state your question to our call screener, who will pass it to us.
The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun group that meets weekly after the show at Barley's in the Old City for food, drink, and conversation, and you're welcome to join us. However, if you plan to come to preach, proselytize, or punch, please don't come.
The Rationalists of East Tennessee meet at 10:30 on the first and third Sundays of each month in the cafeteria annex at Pellissippi State Community College. Come early for coffee and conversation. On the second Sunday afternoon, our book club meets at Barnes & Noble, where you're welcome to join us. And on the fourth Sunday, our Reflections group meets at a member's home for potluck lunch and a discussion on the topic of the day. See our website at rationalist.org for details.
And now for a look at some topics in the news. Jonas?
Well, we were both at Andy Thompson's talk Sunday, and I think everyone was just very excited by the things he had to say. There were people there that I hadn't seen in a very long time, and the Goins Auditorium was just packed full. They had to bring in some additional chairs.
I know, and hearing the developments in neuroscience and brain work that lead to religious behavior was just fascinating. I mean, they're all byproducts of basic, fundamental aspects of the human being.
I guess it was Stephen Gould who introduced the idea of two non-overlapping magisteriums. He called it the physical world and the world of the of spirits and supernatural and so on. And the idea was that science really had nothing to say about religion and the spiritual and so on. But as scientists do, they kind of keep probing into things, and so they started probing into how the human brain works. The idea there is that all of our experience, joy, fear, and excitement, and all are associated with different states of the human brain, where sections of the brain light up with regard in regard to stimulus. And that being the case, then these feelings of religiosity must arise in the brain by some kind of stimulation. I think Andy went far beyond that. He was talking about how the human race developed certain characteristics in response to the forces of evolution, and those built-in characteristics got co-opted by religion.
Yes.
And so, it's been said that since religion is so pervasive around the world, that proves that there must be a God. And so what Andy was saying is, well, no, humans are pretty much the same around the world and respond to the stimuli that produce religious behavior. Oh, and picked up the newspaper today, and there's another flap going on over in Lenoir City, at Lenoir City High School, this time over an article that appeared in the student yearbook.
And I'm so glad the yearbook got published. It's already published. It can't be retracted or refused.
So this was a student who put an article in there, "It's okay to be gay," and he kind of describes some of his experiences over the year. And so some of the faculty were under fire for allowing that. Somehow we see it's okay to have a gay article in the yearbook, but not an atheist kind of article.
Well, at least that article got into the yearbook, even though Ms. Meyer's article on being an atheist didn't get into the newspaper. All I can say is, I think possibly the students have come a long way since they've had this young man as a classmate.
Well, I just wonder if there's a GSA club in the Lenoir City High School. The number of these clubs is increasing. For those of you who don't recognize the term, it's Gay and Straight Alliance, a club of both gay and straight students. And what I'm hoping to see is, before too long, that there might be SSA clubs. Now, SSA stands for the Secular Student Alliance, and this is a national organization of that promotes secular kind of activity, or supports, I shouldn't say promotes, it supports secular activities in schools and colleges. So I looked on their website, and there are 7 colleges in the state of Tennessee that have SSA clubs, and 1 high school that has SSA club. And the reason it's of interest to me is that at our Camp Quest last year, I was talking with one of the campers, a young man named Daniel Coster.
I remember Daniel.
From Orlando, Florida. Yeah. And he got enthused and went back and started an SSA club in his high school that was called the Wakiva Atheist and Freethinkers Club, or something to that effect. And so it's if there were more students that were active like that, pretty soon we could, I think we could eliminate the, just as the GSA clubs have been more accepted, that we might see more of the secular students being accepted, and an end to some of this kind of nonsense that's been going on. And sadly, we must report that atheist, artist, and children's book author Maurice Sendak has died. I know my children, when they were young, they had these little books that were easy to carry around, and just love Maurice Sendak.
Terry Gross, this noon, on WUOT, spent her whole program in honor of him and his past interviews. And he was a fascinating person.
Okay.
Now, onto our program. Camp Quest was established for children of humanists, atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and all non-theists, whatever they call themselves. That said, Camp Quest of the Smoky Mountains is open to all children, regardless of their beliefs or the beliefs of their parents. Camp Quest is a place where children are free to openly discuss their developing belief systems, a place where it is okay not to believe in gods.
I think we need to discuss a few terms here. Camp Quest is regarded as a secular humanist camp.
Right.
And so we might want to see just exactly what that means. Humanism is a life style or life vision that focuses on human values and concerns. Now, there are two kind of versions of that. Just as if we talk about atheists, I mean, there's such a broad span of what atheists or non-theists believe that you can't say that an atheist believes this or that or the other. Within humanism, there's what's called a secular humanism that espouses reason, ethics, and justice while rejecting the supernatural. But there are also religious humanists who integrate the humanist ethical philosophy with ritual and perhaps deism. Again, for those who may not recognize the term deism, deism is almost, practically speaking, an atheism, but it's a belief in a God that created the universe, established natural laws, and set the universe on its course for development or whatever, and step back from any interference.
Right.
And it's pointed out that many of our founding fathers were, even though they professed to be religious, they were really deists, and today would really perhaps be called atheists. Now, about our camp quest.
Well, I want to mention one thing first. In this definition of religious humanism, what I like to see and want to stress is the fact that the word humanist ethical philosophy, because non-theistic people are often accused of not having morals or ethics. And we are very much founded on having ethical beliefs without feeling that we're going to burn in hell.
Oh, and then we would take the other view that the theists who talk about their God and how their God gives them the moral laws and so on, we would take the view that, well, the gods are a creation of humans,
yeah.
And so the God's laws are creations of humans. Okay, so we wanted to talk a little about Camp Quest, what it is, and where is it, and what's doing, what happens there. Could you tell us a little about the demographics of the camp?
All right. We're located in the Smoky Mountains at the Tremont Institute, which is a facility for all kinds of training, ecology, and all different things. And we have this last week in July. There's a very nice dorm, one half for the boys, one half for the girls. There's a really neat dining hall. There's a big open pavilion. There are 2 campfire sites. There's a magnificently cooperative Tremont professional staff that runs things behind the scene and takes care of the dining hall. Camp Quest itself is for boys and girls from 8 to 17. Last year, for example, we had 32 campers. We had 16 boys and 16 girls, and a great time.
and about equally distributed in age group. Well, in each age in there. But I really see a growth in the past few years of the teenagers. Probably more than half of them now of the campers are teenagers. And to some extent, this is because the younger campers have aged and moved in, have continued to come back year after year, and have moved into an older age group, where the same time, we still have younger kids coming in, sometimes siblings of the older campers, but then completely new campers. I think in the background you can see our camp photograph of the campers. I just realized those colors should look just like this.
Well, I was thinking you've washed yours more than I've washed mine, because mine is darker still, but in the bright light it really looked quite red.
Okay, and our campers came from 9 different states last year. The year before they were from 10 states, and it ranges from, if I make a picture in my mind, we had the 2 Crawford twins from Illinois, Batavia, Illinois, and we had...
Didn't we have 4 from Connecticut? No, they were from Alabama, I guess.
They were, that family of 4 was from Alabama, but we had Stilleen and her sister from New York State, and normally we have campers from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Kentucky, and then as I swing around, North Carolina, last year from South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Louisiana. I said Alabama, and Louisiana. I'm corresponding with someone from Mississippi as well. So our interest in the surrounding area keeps growing. But unfortunately, the number of campers from this area, I mean, it's right in our backyard, but the number is, I think, small compared to what one would expect. And our staff as well came from
Nebraska. Ohio.
Caroline was originally from Atlanta, but now in Florida. Then Patricia and Giovanni from Louisiana, and of course us from the Knoxville area.
But I bring that New England influence, don't forget.
Okay. So we have this great appeal and draw campers from all over the eastern United States. You mentioned the facilities, the dormitory. We have an air-conditioned dormitory. It's split into 2 parts: boys on one side, girls on the other. They have bunk beds, and for the past couple of years, it's been much quieter than I remember. There were times when it was rather noisy. And how about the dining hall?
Oh, that's great. The food is good. It's very varied from day to day. You don't get up to the same thing every day or have the same thing at night. There are rules and regulations in the dining hall. I mean, well, there's some that we as the camper provide, and that's every table has 2 captains, and everybody gets a chance to do that, shall I say, and that's setting up and cleaning up, getting the food, which is served family style, so the captains have to bring the food over to the tables. And what I found fascinating was all of us learning to not waste food.
Yes.
That is really good.
Oh, now a camper or any of us can have as much food as you want, but you're encouraged not to load up your plate if you're not going to clean it all.
Yeah.
And in fact, at the end of the meal, they pass a bucket around, and all the food scraps are scraped into the bucket, and then it gets weighed to see how well the campers were doing with that.
Well, when I think about that, I think about the first breakfast. So that was after that, that was 2 pounds, and it was all most of it was in milk, because everybody opened their own carton of milk for cereal. So all I can tell you, the hint for any campers that might go from this area, share your milk carton when it comes to putting it on your cereal. But the thing is, by the end of the week, we had days where we had no scrap. We had, we had bones and things like that, but we had no waste, and we were automatically put on the honor roll. Hands down, our score was so terrific. That was really fun, and I hope it taught all the youngsters and reminded us adults too not to waste food.
Okay, let's get into some of the activities, but in the process, I want to come back and review how Camp Quest of the Smoky Mountains how Camp Quest came into being, and how that is directly related to some people that you see on this program. Okay, we have usually start the week with a hike to Spruce Falls.
Uphill, all the way.
Well, uphill, and then you come back down.
Oh, yeah, but coming down is easy, but going up, you have to get there first.
Okay, it's about a 45-minute hike, and in the background here you can see some of the campers as they were on the trail. In this case, it's a little downhill session. And I think in the next one you can see more of the falls. Now, generally swimming in a pool below waterfalls is a very dangerous kind of thing, because when the water comes down, it creates undertows, and it can be very dangerous. But in this case, the water falls on a shelf just above the level of the pool, and then it spills off in the pool. And so the pool at most is about chest deep in the deepest part. Well, perhaps we can see we have a little film clip here of some of the activities in the pool. On the hike there, I like to stop along the way and introduce the campers to the different kind of plants and trees and so on. But many of our staff are not that kind of familiar with that kind of
the flora and the fauna.
Yeah. I grew up in Louisiana, and so I grew up learning about Louisiana trees and plants and so on, so it was difficult to learn these things. Okay, then often the second day we do some canoeing on the Little River, and we go down to River John's island there, John Mullish, and so we're then transported upstream a little bit, and then paddle back down. Some wonder about the danger of canoes tipping over, but for the most part, the river there is so shallow that you can get out and walk. In fact, the biggest problem is the canoes scraping bottom. And then we had wilderness camping. This is something I had been promoting for a couple of years, and finally we accomplished this last summer, and I felt kind of like Moses that I had been trying to work towards this promised land of hiking after dinner, hiking over the mountain, Fodderstack Mountain, to the West Palm campground, staying overnight, and then hiking back. And I didn't get to go.
But I did.
But you did?
Yes. I was the champion of being the last person up and the last person down. I mean, I did go. I was the slowest one. But we had a really good time. We had a wonderful campfire. I had to sort of kind of herd people to get into bed and finally settle down, that type of thing. But it was really good. we had marshmallows, and we had to be very careful, of course, because of potential for bears. So we were really, really particular about making sure that anything, we had a few little snacks with us for overnight, but making sure that even the wrappers went back with us.
And on the other end, I was rather anxious because we were expecting you back for breakfast and waited and didn't see you, and so I took the radio and climbed up on the on the ridge there and kept calling until finally I heard you guys coming.
We made it though.
Okay, now in addition to the wilderness camping, and wilderness because there's no facilities there.
No, but that's youngsters have to learn. I mean, and they do. And everybody that wanted to go was so enthusiastic. There was no problem.
Okay, and then swimming is another activity. There's a pool in the little river, and if I may look down, you can see the kids on the rocks above the water. And could we skip on through? And there are a couple of more playing in the rapids. And I think we have a short video clip on this. Okay. Okay. Well, let's just go ahead and move along.
Yep.
Other things, we do science, and I think there's some picture of some of the microscope work. That was Stan from Nebraska who brought the microscopes down, and the kids inspected pond slime. Then they also check out the weather station each morning. There's a night hike where we walk up the road in no lights, quiet, no speaking, and then each in turn has to walk back silently by themselves in the dark. And last summer was really pitch black. Then we have something we call the Socrates Cafe, and this is kind of a discussion group. If we could also, we have team discussion groups that and the teens have often self-organized on this.
At last year's question, just to throw, I don't know what this year's question will be, but the thing to center around last year was, what would the world be like if the majority of people were free thinkers?
Yeah, this is
didn't believe in God.
One of our challenges, where the campers then prepare a skit to address the particular challenge. And then we have campfires, leadership. Our first camper now is coming back as a staff member, counselor this year.
Oh, great.
So, and we have service projects. So it's about time to start wrapping up things. And we need to let you know that you can contact us through the week, so you might want to write this information that we're going to give you down.
This has been Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum appears on Knox Cable TV and is broadcast streaming live to the world on ctvknox.org, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And please send us feedback. Leave voicemail at 865-272-9060 or email us at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com. And we thank you for watching.
I